It's fine. You're gonna be right in front of it. You can literally see you. It's literally fine. You can't say it's not because it is. Get your Alani out of there. You're looking at the nutrition facts.
I don't think you understand. Okay.
You're already live. You know that?
I know. Cause I wanted to show
Hey,
you.
comment if you think it's fine.
It looks bad. Here we're going. So.
All right.
But hey, no one watches them anyway. Remember that.
They will though in 10
look
years.
How bad you look.
It looks fine.
No, you're not looking.
I'm not looking right.
No, it looks so dumb. Okay.
Hi, I'm Austin Eartham.
I'm Taylor Patton, and welcome to the Kitchen Table Podcast.
We're here to motivate, educate, and relate to you guys, sharing our stories, helping you get 1% better in all areas of your life. Welcome to day 6 of the 7 types of influence and power. We're going to be talking about unintended influence. So this is where you don't mean to influence somebody, but you end up to influence them. Taylor's all mad, by the way, because we're doing the live stream on YouTube, which you should all go. And I was like, nobody watches it. It'll be fine. And if you think the picture's fine, because I think it's fine. We need nature.
You can't see the nature. It's white.
It's all right. It's good. The windows are open. We can hear it. We're living the dream.
You don't understand. The lighting is really bad. The lighting is very, very bad.
Why is the lighting bad? You can see yourself. You can hear yourself. What else do you need?
You can hear yourself. Yes, you can hear yourself. I'm just saying the lighting is super bad. I don't know how to explain it to you then other than
because it's bright.
When you're looking back at it, you're just looking at a white picture, like a white background.
It's fine.
Okay.
Sometimes people take pictures with white backgrounds.
Not like this. No, hey. I don't care.
He doesn't care. We're good. All right, let's jump into it. Any news this week, Taylor?
No.
Challenge recap.
I don't know. I don't even know what challenge is, to be honest.
Holy goodness gracious.
I'm so
challenge us to just meet a challenge this week. Did you meet a challenge? Did you have a challenge and live up to it?
Yeah. I'm challenged by our YouTube.
So
by this live stream right now, I'm challenged.
So you didn't live up to it because we didn't change it.
No.
I think it's personally fine. No. I think if people are mad about the YouTube, then that's not the point of it.
I'm mad at it because it doesn't look good.
It looks fine.
Okay.
You can see yourself.
I'm saying. Okay. No.
Well, I met a couple challenges this week. All right, my lifting, I had a couple heavy lifts, matched it, did it, and I wrote when I failed like a couple years ago when I did this workout, and I beat it this time. So I'm happy about it. Also have a challenge of grad school starting, and like when I first started, it's like, do I know how to do this anymore? And then I was like, nope, I'm gonna figure it out, you know? And I met the challenge, and I'm proud of myself for the effort I have put forth so far. So very good. I'm very good. Quote of the week this week is an interesting one, if I could get my phone to work. It is, as much as people refuse to believe it, the company you keep does have an impact and influence on the decisions you make. As much as people refuse to believe it, the company you keep does have an impact and influence on the decisions you make. Comments?
Valid.
I think so too. And I think people also don't talk about it ever. Because you basically are a product of your environment, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about today is how sometimes you don't even mean to influence people, and you do just because of your personality or who you are or the decisions you make. People hopefully strive for greatness. You know, I was reading, speaking of like my schooling, I was reading a thing today, and it talked about how a lot of the times the great athletes, the very gifted athletes, hang out with each other, like the skilled ones, from a very early age. For instance, looking back, a lot of my friends were the ones that knew how to kick balls, knew how to throw, wanted to run around, play sports. Like that's the group of kids I hung out with from a young age. The kids who weren't able to kick a ball or whatever, I didn't really hang out with them. so you usually strive for people who are like-minded or like we've talked about, but even from a young age, not knowing your genetics really or what that is, you still find similar people, which I thought was really interesting. And that's how great people continue to be great, because they're challenged, right? And then they keep practicing their skills, because eventually if you don't use it, you lose it. So I thought that was interesting. Anything else? Quote of the week?
No.
No? All right. Let's take a quick ad break, and then we'll jump back in. So get your retire go. All that good stuff. Also, some of you need to reply to my Instagram stories a little better. Okay, grape's the best flavor, just to let you know. All right, moving on. All right, so as I said before, unintended influence is basically influencing somebody without knowing or purposeful intention to influence them. Has that ever happened to you? You ever like help somebody, or a flip side, hurt somebody when you didn't mean to?
Probably.
Do you know any examples or no?
And give me a minute to think.
Because I think for me, like I think the hurt one, I recognize it right after it happens all the time. Like if I say something to my fiance or somebody else, and I'm like, oh crap, that's going to be received in a negative connotation that I didn't mean to, or something that I might think is not bad, but somebody else might think is bad, just because they have different values or whatever it might be. So then it's like, oh crap, I shouldn't have said that. Unless I'm passionate about it, then I tend to argue with them. But there's really no point arguing your opinion versus somebody else's opinion.
You're a professional at that.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm a professional at something. I told you the other day, if I'm doing something, I'm gonna be the best in the world at it. I'm gonna be the best arguer in the world.
It's every day. It's literally everyday influence. You have influence on every single person. You don't hit a person when you're driving, that's influence. You didn't hit them safely, influence. You can go through like every single conversation you have is unintended influence, generally speaking. And that what you post on social media, who sees it, who doesn't, all that has impact and influence in your life, especially like what you bring into your life, what you see on social media also has influence. And that a lot of people can sit and watch videos and that, or like TikTok in that for 2 hours, and that in every single minute of that 2 hours is influence on your way some way or another. Like for me right now, like this is unintended, but I want to try it. So there's this thing called it's called a Utah soda. I don't know if that's really what it's called, but that's what people are calling it.
Utah, like the state?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's some weird rules about like caffeine and soda and all that.
Yeah, because the Mormons say it's addictive.
Yeah. And so anyway, there's this drink where it's like Coca-Cola, like cream, as in like coffee creamer,
yep.
And then coconut. And apparently it's supposed to be really good.
It'd be good without the coconut.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's something like I want to try. That I thought about. I don't know. Unintended influence, I feel like I do every day. Like every time I step into work, everything I do, like the kids are always watching you, staff's always watching you.
Do you think about that?
Me, I
do you think about influencing the kids every day?
Yes and no. I do, and then sometimes I feel like I don't, and that's when like I make poor decisions. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And that, but there's like how I operate, and that just has influence on everyone. And a lot of times I don't think about how I operate. I just operate. Like I just have a way of doing things, and that's the way I do things.
Yeah, I'll get to that. I have another question about that later. But like social media, I think about what I post on. Again, I post on social media strictly, for the most part, either a it's pretty much all motivational, to be honest, or some sort of impact. I only post something that I think is impactful, whether it's motivational, whether it's a goal-oriented thing, something like that. So I only post if I think it's going to better people. Even like Vitargo, I post about Vitargo because I want people to take it. Because yeah, sure, it's like a sponsorship, but literally, I think Vitargo helps people, and so why wouldn't you want to be able to help yourself? And again, it's like, why would you back something that you're not 100% on, you know?
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Vitargo for following the kitchen table pie.
I was wondering if you saw that.
Yeah. So we need to get some more followers.
Okay, I was pumped.
That was too. But I also think, like in the weight room, like 'cause I work out in the high school weight room. Today I was benching a pretty good amount, and I knew people were watching me, and I strive on that kind of energy because that's like when I do my best. Because I know that I'm like the leader or somebody that they're looking up to, so I want to do the best. So I want to reach it for them, you know.
Yeah.
So I really think about influence on a daily basis, and I think when I do that, again, like you make better decisions when you think about the influence, but maybe it's impossible to think about every single decision you make, how it's going to influence others.
Yeah.
So I think, like you were saying, your personality just kind of makes a difference.
Yeah. And that'd be like another thing too. It's just like showing up, and that makes a difference.
Yeah, just by being yourself, you can get 1% better, or make somebody else 1% better. You don't have to do anything special.
Yeah.
Opening the door for somebody is a great example. I always try to hold the door for somebody. No, I think it's like the nice thing to do a lot of the time, but I don't really think like, oh, this is gonna change somebody's life, you know.
But I think about that though. I always like who holds the door, who doesn't. I'm like, you don't hold the door.
You don't like them.
No, I instantly like I'm like I don't get mad or sad about it. I just like it's like a mental comment. It's like
I just don't like them.
Yeah.
I'm very judgmental.
And that.
But I don't think like
I don't judge them like that.
Remember the story you like said a couple weeks ago about like how the person smiles and it makes their day and all that other stuff. We won't go into detail about the story, but
yeah, the man that killed himself because no one smiled at him.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to stay away from, but you just let it out there.
Well, you're like the man that smiles and makes the day. I was like, that's not the story at all.
But. Okay, but you have to bring it down like that. Anyways, so I just think like I don't think that what I do on a day-to-day basis is that big of an impact.
That's a perfect story for this.
I just think that, hey, you know what? You should be a good person and open the door for somebody if they're beside you.
Yeah. I don't know. I was always raised like I will always hold the door open, no matter who it is, like man, woman, old, young, don't care.
Yeah, and
like, I will always hold the door.
And I think, I totally agree, and that's what I'm saying. But I don't think of the impact that might have on somebody's life, like smiling at somebody in the supermarket. I don't think like, oh, that's gonna make their day. I just smile because it's a nice thing to do, and that's what Midwesterners do. You know, you go to the East Coast, they're like, don't look at Judd, get through the line, budge, and go home. Midwest is like, oh, you can go first if you want, for the most part.
Yeah.
I just think it's different culture, and again, we just think differently here.
Yeah.
When you realize that you harm somebody unintentionally or helped them or motivated them unintentionally, how does that make you feel?
In a positive way, good. I've also been thinking about this, how I influence people with bad. When I got caught drinking, and that a lot of people that got caught at the party I invited, it was like a lot of their first time drinking, or like going to the party and all that.
And you put it on your shoulders.
Yeah, and that, like, damn, it really messes up.
Yeah.
But in a positive way, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel worthy. If that makes sense.
I definitely agree. You feel like your just chest is held a little higher. You feel important. You feel like you did a good deed. You feel like you're a purpose. You feel purposeful.
Yeah.
Which I think all humans hopefully feel that way. I want to know more about this bad one though. How do you fix something like that? Like everybody got caught because of you.
Well,
like
I wasn't because of me, but it's because they were at the party.
Indirectly.
Literally, I lived with it. Moved on. I went to that was like the first initiation of me like praying to God, all that such. So that kind of like got me on the path of like who Jesus Christ was. And so I think like just me turning that into more of a positive, which then led me into influencing people towards Jesus for what, 10 years now?
Yeah.
11, 9?
They're a blessing
Nine.
in disguise.
Yeah.
Because I always think it's kind of hard to talk about unintended influence because it's something you're not purposely actively seeking, but yet it still happens. So that goes to show you how important influence really is.
Yeah.
Because even when you don't think about it, your everyday movement matters. Like you said, every time you don't get in a car crash, that technically influenced somebody in a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you don't have to. I don't think maybe call my dad saying I got into a car wreck or something like that. Like, which is like another. It's just an influence to like that.
And it's so weird because we never think about that stuff like until it actually happens. You know, like you don't expect to get in a car crash going to work,
Yeah.
and then you do it, and you're like, oh, then it like kind of ruins your day because everything all of a sudden changed. You know.
Yeah. Well, that you have to like
pay for it or
Yeah.
whatever. If somebody gets injured, then obviously it's a bigger deal.
It can be lighter than that too. It doesn't have to be that
Yeah.
deep, you know. But I was gonna go somewhere with this. All right. What's your next question?
I don't really have like a question. I have more of a.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I remember. So I was also thinking about this. So I set up a lot of my social medias. I set up intentionally to influence me. That becomes unintentional. Like a lot, like I intentionally like follow certain people like on Instagram or TikTok,
Yeah.
and that because they have given me some sort of value in an influential way.
Yeah.
And then as I follow them, it kind of just becomes unintentionally that I have like kind of like continue to get motivated by them.
Yeah.
Like, I
don't
don't think about it as much, or I don't think
Yeah.
about it watching their posts, and that after I followed them for 4 or 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
but they still have had an impact, which then goes to like on the flip side, like they don't even know that they've impacted my life.
Yeah.
And so like that's unintentional for them.
Yeah. I have two things. That kind of goes off my story. It's not really a story. It's more of a drive or passion that I want. But anyways, I think I'm the opposite again. Like anybody I follow on social media, I follow because I want that influence like you did. But I always remember like this is why I'm following the person. Every time I listen to a podcast, I'm wanting to be influenced. Like I said earlier today, some days, like today, I learned a lot of stuff. And some days I want to learn less stuff because I feel like I need to write everything down to be able to influence others after that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's impossible to remember all this. And it's really like, I was talking about like the sports psychology stuff. And really there's all these techniques and this and that. You know what? If you just have a conversation with somebody, some of that stuff will just naturally come out. And that's the easiest way to influence. Like, remember our friend Mr. Winters? His job was literally to talk to people. Like, that's a great job. You can influence people just by being who you are. And
Unless you're an introvert.
but you're still influencing people. Like,
yeah. But I'm just saying,
the quietest person in your class is probably one of the smartest. Like, that's just kind of how it goes in school. And they're still impacting you because you're thinking about, like, from their standpoint, like, okay, I wonder what their life's like. I wonder what this is happening. And then you might have an experience that changes, like, who you are. So again, like you said, everything is impactful. But what I want, like another aspiration of mine is because I've just kind of been put in the spot. I feel like on most teams that I'm on, I'm one of the like better athletes. It's hard as a kicker, so this is where I struggle because you're not really like involved as much. Like especially in high school with soccer and club soccer. And then you never know who you're going to impact. I'm the oldest cousin in my family, so like everybody naturally just looks up to you, right? Like you did this first, whatever. And what I want is that person just sitting on the sideline to know who you are and want to like wear your jersey, you know? Like it's unintentional because you don't know who you're going to reach, but it's intentional because of your actions. So for instance, in high school, we always helped, we have like a museum, I guess. There's like a fall festival and has a bunch of museums with Amish people. And the football team helped set up for it every year. So we were doing it and this person went to my church, but I didn't know that he knew like who I was. And I was probably a sophomore at the time, and we're wearing our jerseys and helping move hay bales and stuff like that, and put up fences. And you guys like asking about our games, like who we are and stuff. And he goes, "Oh, you're Eartham, right?" I said, "Yeah, that's me." And then he's like talking about my game and stuff like that and kicking. And I was like, "I didn't even know you knew who I was." Like it's a pretty small town, but literally I don't really talk to this person ever, and they knew like my name, the position I played, the kicks I had last game. So that's like just I didn't intend to be like influence him personally, you know. I was just going out there and trying to have fun, kick a ball. And you influence somebody or a kid, you see a kid wearing your jersey. Or I always love getting autographs because you know you've impacted them in some way. Or a student who writes you a little note that says, "Hey, thanks for believing in me" or whatever this year. And to have that personal relationship is really meaningful, I think. Even though you didn't intend to, I mean, you want to influence everybody at school, but maybe in not the ways that you thought, right? As a science teacher, a lot of people think your main mission is to teach them science, but you really teach them usually the opposite. They don't learn very much science and they learn more about life, hopefully. In my opinion, that's what a good teacher does.
Yeah. Just watch Boys Meet World.
Boys Meet World.
Yeah. Boy Meets World. Not boys. Boy.
Boy. Spoon boy.
Yeah.
I think unintentional is usually intentional, but maybe not how we intend. For me personally, I should say. I should say me personally, because I always think about influence a lot. So I think that's one of I like pray about it every night is to impact people.
Mm-hmm.
But I think on a day-to-day decision making, I don't think like, oh, this is going to influence somebody. You know what I mean? Because then you also have to be on guard all the time. If you put it like that, like my brain would just hurt.
Thinking about it.
Yeah, just over and over.
Yeah.
What other points you got there? Anything?
Not really. I guess just going back into like the quote of the week and that would you say like if looking at like your circle
Mm-hmm.
and then looking at the values that you hold, does your like circle like hold those values?
I would say value-wise, very similar, yes. Especially in a faith standpoint, which is good, and it's also maybe I want to expand it a little bit. And I think, because I think I'm not ever going to change my faith, but understanding where others come from, I've learned is really valuable. So I also think that's impact. The more you know, the more you can relate to others, the more impact you can have.
Yeah.
And again, just having conversations with people, you can impact them just by sharing your story or where you came from or what you believe in. I think a lot of times nowadays we get into an argument because this person believes something and another person believes something else. And we can't be okay with the differences.
Yeah.
But if you can just listen and be like, okay, this is what it is. For instance, our conversation before this, right? You're like, I'm gonna make my kid work. Not gonna not gonna pay for their college. And I was like, my kids
Which
are
was a little exaggerated.
Yeah,
but
yeah, but I was like, my kids are
like
never gonna pay a dime for college. I hope once the minute they're born, I'm starting a college fund for them. Hopefully, I was like, if my kid wants to go out to eat in high school with their soccer team, great, they can do that. Now, if they do that every night of the week, let's have a conversation. But again, that's just two different perspectives, and there's no right or wrong.
Right.
Like we could have just been my way's right, or screw that, I'm not paying for my kid. I'm gonna spend my money.
Right.
But in the end, it's just two opinions, and both are impactful. Like whether you know it or not, you impact me because it makes me think about, okay, Taylor had to pay for his own college. I didn't have to pay for mine. I wonder what other people who didn't or did have to pay. What do they think? What would the numbers be if we surveyed 1,000 people?
Yeah.
And I'm just curious about how that brings up other values and life circumstances maybe because of that decision. So it makes me see both sides a little bit more. Again, it might not change my opinion, but it's good to know, okay, this is why they might do that. So there is definitely value in making your kids pay for things. And there's also value in not having them have to pay for things. Like if they have a hobby, they can pursue that hobby more often rather than think, oh, I got to go to work so I can buy groceries or I can go out to eat with my friends because they're all gonna, or I can pay for a prom dress, whatever it is.
Yeah, that or their hobby is their work.
Yeah, and if that is, then great. You get the best of both worlds, possibly so.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that question, and that like, does my circle hold the values,
Mhm.
and that I hold, or would they have the same values, and I'd say yes,
Mhm.
and that but it's interesting because I was like thinking back through the years and how I would say yes, but as an overall, but from different people that now today I think wouldn't be like they come from just such different parts of the world,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
and that and different perspectives, and so I just think that's interesting how my like circle has changed and been influenced.
Yeah, I was thinking when you asked me that question, I think of two circles. I think of a life circle and I think of a athletic circle. And honestly, I don't really have an athletic circle. So for instance, I've been doing a lot of CrossFit stuff lately, and I think that I would do better if I worked out in a gym with people who did CrossFit. Just because it's a competition, so you try harder and you know what the other people are getting and can push you naturally.
Yeah.
So just a couple, like, especially when I have a big workout, I need to do it with somebody in terms of just because I'm a very visualized person and I see it and I want to beat them and competitive. And so I think that circle, I need to make it harder. Because right now I'm just like competing against myself, but I need to be competing against the best every day. That way I naturally get better.
And that's the thing. That's a big thing. Like the big difference between CrossFit and like a regular gym is like I feel like CrossFit they're way more like inviting to help train and like train with you and like improve people.
Oh yeah.
We're
Yeah,
like
a lot
we're like
more
a basic
hands-on.
yes, we're like a basic normal gym that's kind of like you're on your own to an extent. You can always ask for a spot, you can always ask for help, but on a normal basis.
Yeah.
And then I've never really talked to people in the gym normally.
Yeah.
I usually have headphones on, and everything I've learned in the gym, I've either watched people do, which I guess is unintentional influence, and that like I've seen them do exercises, and
But
I would try to manipulate it.
if they put that video out, do you think they're trying to influence people though?
Put what?
Like let's say they
But
teach you.
put a video out.
Yeah,
Yo,
about an educational video. They're trying to influence people. Don't you think?
Yeah, in a way, but I mean like you can always unintentionally. Maybe it's the way they do the video, or maybe it's the way they hold themselves in the video.
Yeah.
That they don't think about.
Or you see their swagger. And you're like, I want to be like
and
that.
or like sir, like
again, their personality is what brings
yeah.
people, right? That's why you follow people on Twitch by their personality, not about their gaming.
It's like certain brands they wear, like
yeah, it's
all
brings
influence.
it to you.
Yeah.
That's what life is such an influence now. Even especially with like TikTok and stuff, it's really changed to be influence based.
Yeah.
Which we don't think. A lot of people think of influence and they think of dances and stuff, but like this is a good influence type of like learning about video or whatever it is, trying to get people motivated. There's something I had just thought about. Oh, the CrossFit gym.
I'd say also if you listen to people, that's very like easy thing to do and very normally it's unintentional like listening, but if you actually like listen, like just let it like someone can just like push off their issues or whatever they're struggling with and that on you, like that's pretty influential too, because they can walk away from a conversation that you're actually like actively listening in, and that because they feel like cared about.
Yeah. And as long as they feel cared, then you're definitely building trust, which builds relationships, which is more impactful. That's the ultimate impact is relationships, in my opinion, because it's personable and it's a experience to be had.
Yeah.
Anytime you have especially a memorable experience, that's impact. I would say like the biggest thing on unintentional influence for me is actually just like your typical Friday night. not sitting at home, but like if you go do something on a Friday night, I learned so much just about people and experiences. It makes you want to have more of them, or even vacation. You just learn more about the world by not having your everyday schedule. You really do. And I think people are scared to get out of their everyday schedule. We talk about risk all the time. Last thing I would say about the CrossFit gym is there's a lot of conversation that happen in CrossFit gym. And I would say it's a good community. Though I would also say that it's unintentionally been shown like you only do heavy lifting, you do a lot of reps, you have to do it this way. There's levels. 65-year-olds can do CrossFit. There's something for everybody, and it's basic functional movement, and it's definitely, I think it's more impactful, more rewarding than just a normal gym routine. So I'll back CrossFit on that. So sponsor us, CrossFit.
Sorry, I'm sitting out the other end of the table. I'm still not doing CrossFit.
Yeah, you should. You look even better than you do now.
I'm just not about it like that.
Yeah, it is what it is. You ready for the challenge?
Yeah. Kind of like some people like fishing, some people like hunting.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I'm going to keep
Some
trying to
people
convince
like
you to do it.
basketball, some people like football.
That's right. Everybody's got their little niche, All right, so this week's challenge is really just simple. Be yourself and just see if you have some more interactions with people. And you can even ask somebody, hey, how have I impacted you? Or did you get anything from that? You don't even have to say that. You can say, did you get anything from that conversation?
Yeah.
That would be a great way to see how your personality affects them.
You can tell others how they've impacted you.
Yeah, that's also a great way. And do some reflection so you have that self-awareness. Let your surroundings, like the quote said, let your surroundings kind of flow and see where you're heading in life. With that being said, thanks for joining us tonight. Short episode. We'll catch you guys on Thursday for the 1440.
Love you. Bye.